Hello, good morning. This is Mr. Adv A S Khan from Pune, Maharashtra State, India. In continuation of my last video, we are discussing the what you call income tax disputes on house property income. In that series, uh, today we would discuss three decisions of Supreme Court on what you call on income tax disputes on house property income. So please note down the appeal details. Appeal number is 1500, 1500, and year is 1970. Then decision date or date of decision is 5th March 1973. Then ITR details, year 1973, volume 89, page number 61. I would repeat. Appeal number 1500, year 1970. Date of decision 5th March 1973. Then ITR details, year 1973, volume 89 and page number 61. The facts of the case are like this. First, assessee is in appeal. In this case, assessee is in appeal. Assessee claim what you call compound interest in his return. Assessee claim compound interest as a deduction from income from house property. Compound interest, that is interest, and suppose that loan taker fails to pay the interest, monthly interest, then on that interest bank will charge the interest. That is called compound interest, interest on interest. So assessee filed the return and claim this compound interest, interest on interest, original interest on original principal and plus default interest. Two types of interest he claimed as deduction from his income from house property. What assessing officer has done in this case, assessing officer disallowed this default interest, that is compound interest, interest on interest. He disallowed that thing. He said only simple interest is allowed on original principal. That is the action taken by the assessing officer on his income tax return. Now, what is the nature of dispute in this case? Assessee maintains, or he says, as per tax law or as per this section 24 of Income Tax Act 1961, he can claim any amount of interest as deduction from income from house property. That is his what you call side or his his argument. And assessing officer, as far as assessing officer is concerned, he says no, only simple interest as per section 24 is can be allowed as deduction from income from house property. This is the nature of dispute. Assessee wants deduction for compound interest, and assessing officer says only simple interest to be allowed as deduction from income from house property. So this is nature of dispute. And what is the question of law? Question of law, whether assessee is entitled to claim compound interest as deduction from his income from house property. That is the question of law, whether assessee is entitled to claim deduction of compound interest from his income from house property. That is the question of law. And now what is the decision of Supreme Court in this case, or what is the answer given by the Supreme Court for this question of law? Supreme Court has told in this case, compound interest is not to be allowed, or it is not to be allowed as deduction from income from house property. No deduction for compound interest. That is, Supreme Court has said in this case. Only simple interest can be allowed as deduction from what you call from income from house property. That is their decisions. And what are the reasons given by them for this judgment? So first reason they have given, it is like this: interest, simple interest, that is as per loan agreement, as you know, we know that as per loan agreement, the borrower has to pay interest on the principal amount on the reducing balance method. On the reducing balance method, he has to pay monthly, or as per agreed time schedule, he has to pay the interest on the borrowed amount, or interest borrowed amount. Remember this word, borrowed amount or principal, both are the same. Both are technical terms, borrowed amount and principal amount. So as per whenever somebody takes loan, he has to pay interest, periodical interest, maybe monthly, quarterly, half yearly or yearly, whatever it may be. That one who has taken loan, he has to pay interest periodically on borrowed amount or on principal. On principal, he has to pay interest on principal. In this case, Supreme Court has said no deduction for compound interest. Deduction only on simple, deduction at the rate of simple interest on the principal amount. That is the decision given by Supreme Court in this case. And the reason they have stated like this, borrowed, that assessee has taken loan and his principal amount is some particular fixed amount, specific amount. His principal amount is some specific amount. Only on that thing or only on that amount he can claim the deduction under taxation law. That is Supreme Court is telling. Whatever as per loan agreement, whatever borrowed amount is there, or whatever this principal is there, or principal amount is there, on that he can claim interest, and that interest can be deducted from his income from house property. Not the default interest. Not the default interest. That Supreme Court is telling, not the default interest. He is making default. He is not paying interest regularly. So what happens? What is the result? Unpaid interest is again, see the treatment of unpaid interest. See the treatment of unpaid interest. Unpaid interest, on that bank will charge the interest because he has made the default. He has not paid the interest or amount installment amount, principal plus interest. He has not paid. So on that, because of his default, that bank will, what bank will do? Bank will take interest on unpaid principal and unpaid interest. And they will also take interest on the interest due on that both the things, principal and interest. So the picture comes like this: interest on interest, that is compound interest. So bank take the double interest, that is compound interest. So Supreme Court says, as per loan agreement, only interest on original principal is to be paid. Anything added in that principal, in default interest, what bank does, it adds the unpaid interest in the principal. It becomes principal, it becomes automatically principal, and on the increased principal, borrower has to pay the interest. So Supreme Court's what you call logic, or logic or analysis is like this: assessee or borrower has agreed to pay interest on principal amount, some specific amount, borrowed amount, principal amount. Assessee has agreed to pay interest on that borrowed amount or principal, not the default interest which bank adds to his principal and takes the interest on that increased principal. Not this way. That is the supporting reason this Supreme Court has given in for their decision. And further they have said, if we allow, that is academic part, you say in hypothetically or notionally, if we allow this, what you call this type of interest, he makes the default and the bank takes the interest on interest, like this continues, and if he claims what you call deduction for all this interest, what is the result? What is the consequence? What is the result? Result is that the government will lose the revenue, isn't it? He is making default and claiming next this return. He is claiming everything. This what you call unpaid interest due, all these things he will claim, and that will go to reduce the his tax liability and naturally revenue loss to the government. So this way Supreme Court has given the decision in this case, and they have given the supporting reason as I discussed. So this case is over. We would take the next case. Please note down the appeal details. Appeal number is 2007. Appeal number is 2007. Year is 1995. Date of decision is 23rd March 1999. Then ITR details, year 1999. Volume 237. Page number 454. I would repeat. Appeal number 207, year 1995. Date of decision 23rd March 1999. ITR details, year 1999. Volume 237 and page number 454. These are the appeal details. Now, in this case, assessee is in appeal. The facts of the case, as you know, I have already discussed with you. The pattern is like this: facts, then a dispute, then question of law, then decision and supporting reason. That pattern we are following. So remember this pattern also. So the facts of this case, the facts of this appeal case are like this. Assessee is in appeal. He leaves his what you call factory building. He leaves his factory building on rent and shown rental income as business income. Assessee was having factory building, and he gave that factory building on lease, and he was getting what you call rent for that factory building, and that income from that factory building, he has shown in his return as the income from business. Income from